Do you guys hear a lot of background noise? I hear a lot of ambient noise here, and I'm not really sure what the hell that is. Sounds like a fish tank. Yeah, I hear it too, and I'm listening to it. Let me, this is weird. Okay, hold on a second. Turn the sensitivity down. What the hell is it? Fish tank. Yeah, I hear it too, and I'm listening to it. That is really weird. I'm not sure what the hell's going on with that. Okay. Let's, oh, you know what? Hold on. When, if I can attack. How's that? Is that better? Is that less aggressive? Sorry, you're gonna hear an echo here because I'm listening to it. How's that? Is that better? Is that less aggressive? I have no idea why that why it's doing that. Huh. Because it's literally like dead silent in my apartment right now. Okay. So let's take a look at the fishbowl noise is minor. I think I need to. I think what happened was so I streamed it through OBS, Open Broadcast Software, and I think what I need to do was after the update, they messed up some of my default settings, and I need to go back and turn on my noise gate and all that stuff, because right now it's like trapping in a lot of ambient noise. Always sound issues on this channel. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I mean, you don't have to come here if you don't like it. I'm not like a professional audio engineer. I'm just a dude in my apartment streaming. So take it or leave it. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the macro view of what's going on. I'm gonna clean up my chart and we'll start from scratch so I can tell you like the way I'm viewing this market and the way me and the other guys in my trading community are trading this as well. So let's look at first of all, let's look at the 120-minute channel. 120-minute channel, 120-minute candles. And let's go ahead and recap this BCH accumulation phase. Because it went through a textbook accumulation phase a couple weeks ago, and now it's just gone on this insane run, right? So you can see here that we broke out of a couple pennants. We have a pennant here. This is aggressive. Let's go here. So you can see that we broke out of and let's make you purple. Oh, you know what the noise is? I think my neighbor is like blasting something on a sub because I can barely hear it. And I think the audio is picking up this low frequency hum and it's amplifying it. I think that's what's going on here. Jesus Christ, my neighbors are so dumb. All right. So you see here we broke out of this pennant, which led into a much larger pennant. But let's look at why that happened. Because, you know, right in here, so if we look at the whole view, let's look at, is the 240 view? Yeah, 240 view is good. So if we look here, we see we're just coasting into this all-time high, right? And from here, though, you know, it bottomed out, and a lot of people were kind of scared and they didn't know what was going on. I think right in here, Tone Vase was saying if you're still buying Bitcoin Cash, you deserve to be homeless and all sorts of other dumb shit like that. But what was really happening was Bitcoin Cash was going through an accumulation phase for how many days? From the 9th to the 20th, for about 20 days. So a little over, just about 3 weeks, Bitcoin Cash is going through this macro accumulation phase. And now you can see it's gaining mainstream popularity as it's just gone parabolic the last few days. So what's happening? What's going on here? So we see, you know, the textbook signs of an accumulation phase. We see the selling climax, the secondary test. We see a spring here, which led into a sign of strength. This guy is called the sign of strength, or you can argue this is the sign of strength. It really doesn't matter. You can have multiple signs of strength, so we can have one here too as well. But ultimately, what happened was we broke out this macro pennant, and we've just been skyrocketing, right? The volume has just grown and grown and grown, and it just seems like it could just keep going, right? So the way that I've been trading this, I've actually been trading it on a very low time scale, on the 5-minute candles. So if we look at the 5-minute candles, we can see it's been abiding by this pretty nice upper and lower trend line here, you know, something like that. And we see that the lower is also something like this, which is quite nice because it means that the price trend is expanding and leaving room for consolidation without a breakdown of trend. So this is a really nice sign. Like, this is what we like to see if you're bullish on Bitcoin Cash, right? So yeah, something like that. And what we notice on the 5-minute Bollinger Bands is it's abided by this. Let's get rid of this. It's abided by this. Get out of here. It's abided by this the 5-minute Bollinger Bands really nicely. So if we see here, let's get rid of you and you. So if we're looking here, we see that the Bollinger Bands have continued to expand really nicely here. So let me go ahead and sketch this. There we go. So if we look here, we see that, you know, the Bollinger Bands have been expanding with the expansion of price, which is nice because it shows that the volatility has been increasing upward. We see a growth in volume, which is nice because it shows an increase in interest in these higher values. And we see really nice predictable retracements, you know, here, 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 here. All these retracements have abided by a very consistent and timely course of action. So what they've been doing, I kind of hinted at this in my last stream yesterday morning, where I talked about that bulls love the 38% retracements, right? And I kind of left you guys on a cliffhanger when I finished streaming yesterday morning. I think it was here. I mentioned, I think we were like right here when I finished the stream, right in here. And I said, this thing looks like it's double topping on the Bollinger Bands, and we're likely to see a retracement to the macro 38%. So if you play the macro 38%, you had a very nice entry for this run here. And so for everyone that's been in my trading community, you know, like we've just been talking about this, this whole market has been like the topic of discussion because it's one of the only coins that's behaving inverse to Bitcoin. And right now its ratio is just through the roof. It's at like what is it at right now? It's at 0.198. So it's just below 0.2. And yeah, so, you know, we've been crushing these Bitcoin Cash plays because they're very predictable, and this is what they've been doing. So if you're looking at it from a perspective of So you can look at this as like one giant bull run from here to here, or you can look at it as like a series of small bull runs. So here's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically every time you see a peak in price, this is a bull run, this is a bull run, bull run, bull run, etc. You know, like that. And so similarly, we can see a bear run, a bear run, a bear run, bear run, so on and so forth. And so right now we just completed our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th bull run. So what every single bull run has had in common is that they retrace 38%. Oops, let's get rid of you. And so we can see here, if we look at it on a zoomed in level, from here to here, this one was a little bit more aggressive because it was the start of the run. So we can consider this like kind of an outlier, but every other one has done a 38% retracement. So from here to here, we see a 38% retracement. We see from here to here, we've done a 38% retracement. We see from here to here is where, this is when I ended the stream. Was this where I ended it? No, it's this one, sorry. And then from here to here, we see a macro 38% retracement. It even dipped down to the 50, but ultimately, you know, it consolidated in the 38 before breaking out. And then this was the best one here. When I ended the stream yesterday, we were right in here, right here, and it looked like he was breaking out again. But you know, right as the stream ended, I said this thing looks like a double top and it's going to head down. And so that's what it did. It went down and it retraced to. Can you guess what level it retraced to? The 38% to the fucking dollar, like perfectly, right? It went down, it consolidated about the 23%, and then it went on this massive breakout to basically see a 50% gain in price from here to here. And so it stands to reason this trend will continue, right? So we see this bear pennant, bull pennant here, from here. Let's get the different color going. Blue? Yeah. So we see a nice bull pennant here. It breaks out in here, and then it continues this bullish path here. And so now that's what we're seeing right now, right? So we see this bull pennant here. It had a false breakout, but overall the volume is consolidating. And it's consolidating about a singular point here. So we see here to here. Let's zoom in a little closer so we don't have to be so far away. Let's delete you. And let's zoom in. So we see here, we've got this nice... okay, you can view this 3 different ways, all equally valid. So you can see this as a... this is called a tilted flag. Where it's a rising wedge at the top of a bull run. So this is called a rising, a tilted flag, something like that. The trend line, the lower trend lines like that. And so you can see here that the tilted flag would be like this. So here's the flag pole, and here's the flag here. And this would be obviously the flag. The breakout would be the price target is projected up here. So you can view it this way. You can view it like a kind of an ascending triangle, like this. You know, something like that. You know, something like this. There's a lot of different ways to draw this, but they all, you know, they all kind of say the same message. So it does, you know, don't get too caught up in that. Overall trend is up, right? That's the main message here. And the breakout is going to be projected from this 1350, which is, what is it? From here to here. So that's a $400 move. So if we move up $400, we can imagine that we're going to see a move from here to here, right? Which plays out really nicely because if we expand this upper line like this, we just kind of expand it like that. And let's get rid of you guys. Boom. And I'll leave this one here, and we'll change the color. Let's change the color to that color is fine. So if we draw a line that's the length, this is a fun little way. You know, if you guys want to see a quick shortcut to a price target, go here, So draw out the length, something like that. And if you want to get really cute with it, you can do here just to do an approximate slope of price increase and go here and project it upward. So it'll have us testing, you know, the upper boundaries of this trend line, which is really nice. So math, right? So what does that mean? That means that right now people are trying to call the top, but they're all wrong. This thing has a lot of growth potential behind it. I'm talking about like parabolic growth potential. And so this has a really nice price target, and I would not expect to see a correction until we run into the upper trend line. And what I would expect to see for a correction is somewhere between a macro 61% correction, so a correction from the breakout, which would be something, nope, something from here. You know, say if this is the top of the trend line, we'd see a retracement of the 61. But if we go here, I would expect a retracement to the 61 to be, you know, something like to the 1050, which is historic support. So, you know, we'd see an historic retracement here, you know, something along those lines. If it's very bullish, we'll see a macro 38 and then it continues upward. So just a hypothetical situation here, right? It goes up, hits our price target, it retraces the macro 38, which would be a nice test of this lower boundary here. So there's a lot of really good options here, but overall Bitcoin Cash is super bullish. And if you're listening to this garbage that's going on Twitter right now with these Bitcoin maximalists, I feel really bad for you, because Bitcoin's looking very bearish right now and Bitcoin Cash is looking very bullish. Cool. So I just beat you over the head with a lot of talk. So let's look at some questions here. So Roger Ver and other bad actors were buying as they knew the outcome of SegWit 2x in advance. I don't think to be honest with you, I think this whole discussion of like Roger Ver and Jihan being like bad guys, I think it's all bullshit, man. Like, I see the infighting in the Bitcoin community and it's so petty and so ridiculous. Like, I just think it's the whole idea of a coin maximalism is ridiculous in my opinion. So anyone who's like trying to paint, anyone who's trying to prop up their coin by bringing down another coin, I think that's the wrong approach and it's going to bite them in the ass. So the question is, why are you so against, by a guy with the name KKK in his name, by the way, why are you so against Bitcoin maximalist if you just made a video proclaiming that Bitcoin was going to go parabolic in the future? Did your opinion change? Why? That's not what I said in my video. You didn't watch it. I said we are going parabolic and we will see a parabolic correction is what I said. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, does BCH last long term or just pump phase for now? So there's a lot of big names backing BCH now. Now that SegWit 2x got canceled, there's a lot of big names backing Bcash. And I'll be personally, like, I'll be honest with you, like, my personal view of this, I really dig the way that like the core developers for Bcash are handling it. Like, these seem very diplomatic and they seem way more mature than the Bitcoin than the Bitcoin community. Like, I don't ever see them talking shit about people. I don't ever see them trying to prop up their coin by bringing down other coins. I don't ever see that, and that says a lot about their character. And it just makes me instill a little bit more trust in what their vision of their coin's future is. So, yeah. What's the name of the app you're using? This is TradingView. Bitcoin Schmitcoin. You think Bcash takes over Bitcoin? It depends on what you mean by takes over. Do you mean take like market dominance? I think it's very possible that Bitcoin Cash becomes a legit contender for Bitcoin. I don't see that to be a ridiculous proposition considering all the infighting with all the hard forks that Bitcoin's having, and Bcash just seems to have their shit together just a little bit more right now. So okay, so Let me see. I did watch your entire video, but you said you were overall bullish for the future. Do you still think in the future it has potential? I know you think it's bearish. I'm assuming you mean the future of Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, right now Bitcoin's got a lot of eyes on it. You know, it's bullish for a number of reasons, right? So like CME picked up Bitcoin for contract trading. It picked up Bitcoin for all these like bullish events to take it mainstream. They didn't pick Bitcoin Cash. So overall, I think the future of Bitcoin is bright. They just need to have their shit. They need to get their shit together. And right now, you know, we could see a changing of hands with the way Bitcoin Cash is moving right now. So if we see a legit correction from Bitcoin, I would not at all be surprised to see a flood of capital come into Bcash over the next couple months. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Do you know any of the BCH devs? I don't even know their names. They own miners. You can only buy ant miners with BCH. Roger Ver doesn't talk shit about people. Are you fucking kidding me? This isn't okay. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, if you're here to like debate the politics of these coins, you're talking to the wrong guy, because I do not give a shit about that. I'm here to trade the coins and make money. That's all I care about. All the other like the tagging of your name, like no 2x, like I don't give a shit about that. You're talking to the wrong guy. I'm sorry. How much of this price action would you tie to hash power redirection? Will it correct when Bitcoin difficulty drops? I have no idea. I'm not a Bitcoin developer, so like I'm not knowledgeable enough to have an educated opinion on that. I'm gonna be honest with you, like I'm not gonna entertain a lot of this political discussion because I don't give a shit. I'm gonna talk to you guys about how to trade this because that's what I'm better at. So anyway, so let's go back to this actual price discussion here. So we see that there's been this nice lower trend line here, and we're slowly seeing a little bit of buyback volume on the 1 minute's kind of flat. So the 5 minute has been the way that I've played every single run since, what is it, 600? What did it break out at? Yeah, ever since 600, I've played every single one of these tops using just 5 minute candles and the 5 minute Bollinger Band trends. And I'll let you in on my little secret. It's not a secret, but if you know how to trade Bollinger Bands, this will be like, oh, of course, right? So with the Bollinger Bands, to get some knowledge about Bollinger Band trading, I'm really sorry about taking so long to do this, but I've been meaning to put out a series on how to trade Bollinger Bands with crypto. But I've just been so busy lately developing my website and developing other content for the guys in my trading community. So I've just been, my technical tip Tuesdays have been lacking, so I apologize for that. But you know, sometimes you gotta do stuff that pays the bills, so can't fault me too hard. But anyway, so if you want to learn how to trade the Bollinger Bands, I'm going to give you a crash course right now. So Bollinger Bands are a way to view the market on a relative basis and not an absolute basis. So what does that mean? If we look at the way the Bollinger Bands are constructed, we'll go through some of the math real quick. So the Bollinger Bands, if you take a simple moving average, which in this case is a simple moving average, a 20 simple moving average, right? And you do 2 standard deviations above and below it, you get the bands. Okay, so here's 2 standard deviations above, here's 2 standard deviations below. And what it's supposed to represent is it's supposed to encapsulate relative volatility in the market. So when you see a high in price here, right, when you're trading Bollinger Bands, you're trading it relative to the bands and not relative to price action. And so when you start to think about the market in a relative basis, you start to get some more, that, like that, for example, is how I called this retracement to the 38, is because when you're looking at the way the price is moving relative to the Bollinger Bands, you start to see strengths and weaknesses in the market on a relative basis. Because, you know, if you're trading this breakout, for example, and you see the high in price, and then you see it close here, you could be lured into thinking, oh wow, you know, it made a new price that's going up. But if you're looking at it through the lens of Bollinger Bands, it actually shows you weakness in the market despite the fact that it made a high. Okay, so when you're trading Bollinger Bands, you want to use, in conjunction with the Bollinger Bands, you want to use, go back up. You want to use two indicators that give you a view on the way the Bollinger Bands are being represented. So that's going to be %B here, and that's going to be BBW there. So what this tells you is %B is going to tell you, let's move this over a little bit. So what %B tells you is it tells you the price relative to the edge of the band. So if you, oh, let me close my door. My dog's like chewing on a bone and it's very loud. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry. So if you're looking at %B, what it's doing is it tells you the price action relative to the edge of the Bollinger Bands. So you can see here, everything shaded in blue is going to be encapsulated inside the Bollinger Bands. Everything outside is going to be outside the Bollinger Bands. And it gives you a relative view of strength. It gives you a view of strength relative to the volatility in the market. So when the market's more sideways, the Bollinger Bands contract, and you see this action called the squeeze here. Like here's a squeeze, here's a squeeze. And then what that typically represents is it represents market consolidation prior to the next leg up. And vice versa, when you see the Bollinger Bands expand, and you see them kind of like rounding out right here, as this is called the bulge. And when the bulge manifests itself, it forecasts decreased volatility in the market. So a way to view, just to recap, the way to view the price action is going to be %B, but a way to view the action of the Bollinger Bands is going to be BBW, which is bandwidth, right? So you can see here that like a bulge is going to be accompanied by a peak in price. As the bands start to come back together, you see the slope start to go back down. And so when you start to look at the market through this volatility lens, you can start to predict when things are topping, when they're not, when they're going to continue, and so on and so forth, right? So the way I've been trading this whole market from the start of the breakout is I've been trading them based on the Bollinger Bands and when they start to round out. And it's a very simple strategy, but it can be very easily overlooked. So we're going to look at this on the 5-minute candles. What we're going to do is we're going to look for squeezes and bulges. Okay, that's all we're going to look for. When the market's primed for a move, we're going to see a squeeze, you know, something like this. And when the market's ready to slow down its upward movement, we're going to look for a bulge, something like this. You know, it's best represented by the trend here. All these humps represent decreased upward volatility, and it holds true, right? So like we can see here that the price peaks, the bulge rounds out, price peaks, bulge rounds out, and so on and so forth. All these little peaks are showing decreased upward volatility. So when I ended the stream yesterday, we were here, and I noticed that the Bollinger Bands were rounding out, but we are making a new high, and this is called, in terms of Bollinger Bands, this is called a double top right here, where we see a new high, right? So we see it peaking out of the Bollinger Bands, but relative to the Bollinger Bands, as we made an absolute high right here, it was actually inside the Bollinger Bands as the bands are rounding out, and this represents a typical reversal pattern called a double top. And that's what we saw. We saw a double top that retraced to the macro 30. This is the, you just have to trust me. This is the 38% right here. Okay, so that was the crash course on how to trade Bollinger Bands. Crash course. Those Bollinger Bands in 7 minutes, because it's gonna be crucial to know how to trade it for the next leg up. if you're interested in like this kind of trading techniques the kind of trading techniques that I talk about in my streams and stuff like that, I have the trading community since I upgraded it has been growing daily, so that's great. And if you're interested in part of the trading community is there's a trading room, and it's basically an open forum discussion like what we're having right now, but instead of like you guys talking on on a chat, it's essentially voice chat. So everyone on Discord can chime in if they have an idea. We can talk about it at an open forum, and we can talk about entries and exits in real time. And it's a really powerful tool. And since we started implementing it in the Discord, everyone's just raking in profits because we're able to in real time bounce ideas off each other and have very quick response. And intelligent discussions about every coin. It's not just Bcash, it's every coin. So if someone's like, hey, something's trending, OMG's breaking out, NEO's breaking out, there's a reversal over here, we can go over there and we can all talk about it in this giant open forum of trading room. Which brings me to my next point. Looks like we're moving up with pretty decent volume. So on the 1 minute, we see buy volume starting to increase. 3 minute, we have a bit of a squeeze. Okay, so this is what we're looking for here. This is what we want. We're not gonna. Okay, I guess I'm not gonna get my stylus up. All right, no big deal. Not really sure why that's not popping up. All right, I guess I'm not using my Wacom tablet right now. Oh. I think my computer is lagging behind. Something's processing in the background. I can see it. It's being very laggy right now. There we go. Okay, so this is what we want to see on the 3 minute here. Sorry, 3 minute here. So what I've been using is I've literally been using 1, 3, and 5 minute trends to time my entries and exits in the market. So we see here, we've had a series of squeezes, series of bulges. It basically just looks like a large intestine. And so we see here that we had a nice squeeze, which means that a move's coming, and we see the upward movement on increasing volume. This is what we want to see leading into these resistance levels, right? So what we want to see is we want to see increasing volume leading into an expanding Bollinger Band. And as it hits this top, we want to see a flood of volume to propel us upward. We want to see a flood of volume and an expansion of the Bollinger Bands to give us confidence the price is going to continue upward with sustained volatility, right? We don't want to see something like this where it rounds out, something like this, because that's going to tell us this is going to be a short-lived run and it's likely to reverse. So if we can get an expansion of the Bollinger Bands timed with an expansion of volume, timed with an upward movement in price, that's gold. That's what we want. That's going to give us a high percentage of, or high degree of certainty with the trade. And then of course, if you see it on 3 minute, you would hope that you see it on the 5 minute starting to blossom, right? So we see on the 3 minute, we see the squeeze here, right in here. If we go to the 5 minute, we want to see the beginning of something like that. So we want to see the 5 minute here, right? So we see a squeeze, and now it's starting to see a general expansion of the bands here. So we see the squeeze here, and ultimately an expansion of the bands here, which will give us higher confidence in a sustained upward move. That's gonna tell us, this is what we're looking for. This is going to give us the breakout. It's testing key resistance. Volume is consolidated. The Bollinger Bands are consolidated. This is going to give us the A-OK to jump in a position if everything lines up, upon the test of the breakout. Do you think we'll see a flood of BCH buyers back to Bitcoin when they realize no new coin will come on the 13th? No, I don't think this is Bitcoin. I don't think this is people buying for the coin. I think this is people buying because the uncertainty of SegWit is over. They're not getting the new coins from SegWit. And so they're moving over to Bitcoin Cash because right now the fundamentals just seem a little better. That's what I think. Beginning to think of both Bitcoin and BCH were/are pumped with tethers and everything else is a sucker. All right. If BCH could do this, Bitcoin could have gone higher than... I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. We see here we're coming up on a test, which is nice. This is what we want to see. We're coming up on a test of this high. We want to see it on increasing volume. Let's go to the 3 minute, a little cleaner. So right now we play the waiting game. If you're in the trading lobby in my community right now, you're playing the waiting game and you're sitting here, you know, we're sitting here waiting for the breakout. We're just sitting here and we're not going to jump the gun. We're going to wait for the setup and then we're going to pounce. Do any of you do any margin trading with BCH? I margin trade with BCH. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, do you have a discount for your website for a fan who's been following you since the beginning? No, I offered, for those of you who don't know, like I recently upped my prices, but I offered a discount to the people who supported my community from the beginning. So I kind of gave them the old rate and they're going to keep the old rate, but ultimately the prices are what they are. You know, I've been having this community for the past 4 months, you know, and so the people that supported me for, at the ground level, you know, they're getting the discount, but the people who are just jumping in now, you know, it is what it is. How many trades do you do a day? I trade a lot, so it varies. You know, I don't like to force trades. It's never advisable. But you know, if a coin's trending, I'll make anywhere between obviously 0 to 20 trades a day, depending on how many currency pairs are trending. What exchange do you trade on? I trade on Bitfinex. All right, we're coming up for a test of this resistance level here. Let's see where we go. We're about, what are we, $9 shy? Yeah, $9 shy of that breakout. You're coming in. All right, so let's look at what the 5 minute Bollinger Bands are looking like. So nice, we're still getting expansion of the Bollinger Bands, right? Where the price is pushing the edge, that's what we want to see. And now as we're coming up here, we want to see an expansion of volume to further support this. Without this, we'll likely just bounce off and retest this trend line one more time. Do you ever live trade on your channel so users can follow and learn live? Yeah. So part of my community is that there's a live trading room where it's not just me live trading where I'm just like beating you over the head with what I have to say. You know, it's like an open discussion where it's like, it'll be like this, but then with everyone else who wants to join in, or if you want to just listen, you can just listen. But, you know, like before I started streaming this, I was in a trading room with like 30 other people and 25 of which were listening, but 5, you know, we were bouncing ideas off of each other. Do you care about other indicators? For example, on this BCH trade, or focusing on the B bands work fine. What other indicator? So yeah, I do use other indicators. I use the 50 and the 200 EMA. Here's another trend that I've noticed too, which I don't think I brought this up to anyone yet, but on the 3-minute 200 EMA, it's provided very nice support throughout this whole run, and you can see that it's supported every dip since the beginning. This 200 3-minute EMA, right here, you know, we see it. Let's zoom out and we'll get a larger view here. So we see it being supported here, 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 here. During the Bitcoin pullback, when Bitcoin started doing its dump, it provided a nice level of support here. And now we ultimately just came back and tagged it, which would have been a great re-entry if you weren't in a position already to, you know, go long, because that would be what, a 12, what is that? That would be a nice chunk of change if you went long here. This would be from here to here. Yeah, $100 move, pretty solid. It's like a 8% move, something like that. 7% move. Hey, I just joined. Can you explain real quick what you talked about since you started the video? I think you're joking. How do you know which? You know, you can rewind a stream, right? These streams you can go back in time and look at them in the past. How do you know which time frame you should be looking at to judge BCH's progress since 2 to 3 days? I'm not really sure I understand what you're asking. Does it make sense to get into a position on a retracement on Bcash from holding Ether and Litecoin? I mean, Ether and Litecoin are trending downward last I checked. Can you explain how you would do margin trading in a quick and basic? No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to explain how to do margin trading on this. Nice. Okay, so right on cue, we're seeing a breakthrough on the 3-minute, a nice expansion of volume. We broke through this resistance level. Yeah, this looks really good now. So, okay, let's look at the 5-minute. 5-minute looks solid. Okay, so it looks solid. I'm gonna explain what I mean by it looks solid, right? So on the 5-minute, we see a nice expansion of volume here. The Bollinger Bands are expanding. We're pushing new highs. This is a great opportunity to start looking for. If I were in a position, if I weren't in a position, I would be looking to enter a position here, because you can see it's just going. It's about to test the previous all-time high. And on the 1-minute, you know, volume is looking pretty solid here. Nice upward push. This should not, I'm gonna go ahead and note, this should not be construed as financial advice or trading advice. I'm just telling you what I would do. I'm not saying what you should do. So if this reverses and you lose money on it because you don't know how to manage your stops, you know, I'm not telling you to buy right now. I'm just saying what textbook entries look like for educational purposes. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest of this breakout. So something like, if you're looking at the 1-minute, something that comes back down here, touches 1350 and then continues upward. That wouldn't surprise me. Retests are pretty common. I'm live trading it now. Thanks to Schmidtcoin. I won't blame you if it's wrong. Well, thank you when you're right. All right. Do you think BCH can overtake Bitcoin? In terms of market cap, I think it's possible. Sure. I mean, it's seen 200% growth in like a few short days, so it's on a tear right now. There we go. There's some follow through. Very nice follow through. I mean, on the 15 minutes candles, the bands are different from the 2-minute candles. How do you know which candle interval you track for BCH recently? Well, I just know what's been working, and the 5-minute candle trend has been very, very nice. So I'm gonna continue using it. You gotta change up your strategy. There's no like consistent answer for the market. It depends on how volatile it is. BCH has gone up almost $100 since the stream started. Yeah, I had a feeling it was about to make another run up. That's why I wanted to get streaming and get everyone in on this. Schmidt, can you look at BTG? No, I'm only going to be looking at Bitcoin Cash right now. That's all we're trading. AKA Discord paid for. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Bitcoin Gold in the trading room, but like in terms of this stream, this is just gonna be Bitcoin Cash centered. I don't want to jump around between trading pairs because it's gonna get confusing and muddy, and it's not gonna be as beneficial. Bitcoin Schmidtcoin, are you a Ledger Nano S guy or close all your trades up and go fiat mostly? I like to keep my trades in fiat. I'm not a big holder. I'm a trader, Like I'll hold for longer periods of time for sure. Just depends on if I believe that the market's going up or not. Like right now I'm holding Bitcoin Cash. I bought it back in like the 600s because I knew that it was going to go on this run. Bitcoin Schmidtcoin, do you trade against USD or Bitcoin? It depends. Like I'll trade the Bitcoin pair if it looks like it'll be more profitable, but I would prefer to trade the USD pair because it's a little bit more predictable. And right now Bitcoin is decreasing in value, so I'd rather not be paid off in a devaluing asset. Basically no quote unquote loyalty to coins and take the cash. I don't have a loyalty to any coin. That's not something that I really care about. I just care about what's trending and what makes me money. That's all I care about. So we're seeing some nice follow through on the buys. I have a feeling it's going to take a little bit of energy, a little bit of increase in volume to break through this price level, because you can, so right in here you see this price level is paired with a lot of sells because these are shorts. These are shorts shorts opening. So there's going to be a lot of resistance here, but once we pop through, you know, what is this? Once we pop through the 1380s, once we break through up here, we're going to pop. We're going to pop through because it's going to be short capitulation if we make a new all-time high. It's going to be an aggressive pop, I would have to imagine. Knew BCH was going up based on intuition? No, I knew BCH was going up because I've been, if you look at my Twitter account, I've been calling this breakout of Bitcoin Bitcoin Cash for a while, for like a couple weeks. Do you do these live stream trading sessions on your website as well? Yeah, so like while we're waiting for Bitcoin Cash to break out, I'll show you what the Discord looks like. So so we have all these like different rooms and stuff. Oh, look, someone joined. I'll talk to you in a minute after the stream. I'll talk to you. Sorry, Fodster. So if you okay, so there's a lot of text channels. So I'll expand all these so you can see them. I'll make this full. So here's all the text channels. So we have the education and news. So, you know, anytime any breaking news comes out, the people post it here, and then we have the discussions here. But if you're looking for the crypto discussions, we have Bitcoin. Obviously, I'm probably going to make a Bitcoin Cash one because it's topical. But for the trading rooms, we have a couple of trading rooms where people hang out and they do live discussions, right? So right now, here's trading room 2. We have, I don't know, what is that, 20 people in there? And then we have the lobbies for text discussions in here as well. But, you know, the trading rooms operate just like this live stream does. You know, it's not visual because Discord is just audio. But yeah, it's a live discussion. All these people in here are having discussions about the market right now, whatever currency pairs are trending, and how we're planning on entering, exiting, all sorts of strategy discussions and stuff like that. So yeah, so the trading rooms operate just like this live stream works. That's kind of why I wanted to stream, so you guys can get a feel for how the trading community works, because I think it's a really great tool, and especially if you're starting to learn the market, you know, it can be really powerful just to listen to people who are slightly more experienced and just listen to the back and forth, the things that they're looking out for, things that they're watching in the market. You know, sometimes it helps just to hear people have a discussion, and that's just a great tool. You know, if you're new or if you're experienced, you can participate in the discussion as well. Do you see BCH as a long-term hold? It depends on what you mean by long-term. I mean, I'm planning on holding it until it breaks this ascending trend line. I'm bullish on Bitcoin Cash until proven otherwise. It has it had a very strong accumulation phase, and once people start capitulating on Bitcoin and pushing their capital over to Bitcoin Cash, it's going to skyrocket. It's going to skyrocket, no question. Yeah, so right on cue. Like I said, we're retesting the breakout right here. You know, not terribly surprising. A lot of support here. We broke above it. You know, just a nice retest. Pretty typical. Oh yeah, so someone said yeah. So there's the audio for the community. There's the audio discussion, but then the trading lobby is where everyone posts their charts, so you can have the visual with the audio as well. It's not just blind discussion. What percentage of your stack is in BCH? So right now, because None of the coins are really going up right now. I have a pretty large percentage of my stack in BCH. Do you think this pattern can be considered a rising wedge? It depends on what pattern you're speaking of. Are you talking about this pattern right here? Okay, so he's asking if this is considered a rising wedge. So you can make an argument for this being a rising wedge, but a rising wedge isn't always bearish, because if it's at the top of a bull run, this could be considered what's called a a tilted pennant. Shit, my computer's freaking out. I need to like increase my RAM or something because it's not really doing well on these streams lately. I'm gonna upgrade my RAM. Let me see. So you can make an argument that this is a rising wedge, you know, something like this, like that. And if we expand it out, it would look something like that, maybe. Yeah, you can make an argument for a rising wedge right now, especially since we just had that little reversal right there. But if it's at the top of a bull run, it's not a bearish rising wedge. It's a bullish continuation pattern called a tilted pennant. I wish I could write it out here. I'll write it out. Oops, just dropped my thing. So it's called a tilted pennant. Google it. That's what this pattern would be called. But either way, it's a bullish continuation. It has the same price target as like, you know, the other bullish continuations I've drawn out. So it really doesn't matter how you draw it. It's a bullish continuation pattern nonetheless. Regarding your Discord channel, are there any more sessions where you talked about your strategies? I was in Wolfpack's Discord channel, and that's what he did. Thanks. Wait, let me see the question again. Regarding your Discord channel, are there more sessions where you talked about your strategies? Yeah, so like so yes, there are a couple of different avenues to view my strategies. In the trading room, I will actively discuss where good stop losses should be set, where good entries should be set. But also there's a strategy discussion portion of the Discord here, where depending on what you're into, you know, we have different discussions going on. Ichimoku Cloud just got added. But, you know, you see here the Bollinger Band discussions where people are, this isn't market sensitive. This is more like strategy, market strategy sensitive. So you're basically looking for, you know, like discussions of Bollinger Bands, the TD count, which Tone Vase likes to use, the Wyckoff distributions, stuff like that, where people were discussing just the strategy, not the actual market. So, you know, it's just a separate thread of discussions for strategy. And, you know, we're gonna be adding risk management on there as well. So there's a lot of stuff that is gonna be added in the coming days. Someone said last stream you said a parabolic curve could probably fit better. Does it mean it could possibly break the trend upwards? Okay, so what I meant by parabolic curve is if you look at large parabolic curves, like let's look at Bitcoin for example. It has a very large parabolic envelope, right? So let's look at 720. So we're looking at Bitcoin. We see a very large parabolic curve that has been bound by for 2 years, right? So we see it curving very gently. But if you're looking at the accumulation phase, say we're looking at from here to here, when you look at a parabolic curve up close, it has a linear approximation. So what does that mean? That all that means is that when you have, this is just discrete mathematics in general, right? So if you have a curve like this, and you wanted to program a curve like into some sort of software, you could approximate this curve by making a bunch of straight lines like this. Straight line, straight line, straight line, right? And if you zoomed in close enough, like this is differential calculus for those of you, right? You have a bunch of straight lines that that up close look like a discrete straight line, but when zoomed out look like a gentle curve. If we're looking at an accumulation phase of Bitcoin Cash, we would be somewhere like right here, where the parabolic curve looks linear. That's all I meant by that. That's just a crash course in differential calculus. What hotkey changes time frames like that? You just type a number. So if I want to go to 15, you just type 15. Want to go 60, type 60. Someone's asking how many members are in the community so far. I think in total there's like 150 people in there, something like that. Since we reopened the like the revamped community, I think we've had 7 people join since last stream. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, are you Canadian or American? Are you asking because you're from the IRS? I'm Canadian, if so. Where did all my curves go? Oh, this is BCH Bitcoin. Let's look at the, let's zoom in a little bit more. So for those of you who are freaking out because it broke down below, you know, relax. Typically with entries, you don't want to have, like, here's just a little bit of tidbit of position entries, right? Position entry strategy. You don't typically want to have just like one entry. You don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to enter here. Typically what you want to do is you want to have, you want to scale your position size to the degree that you're confident in the trade, right? So a really great strategy would be starting on the pullback, have a bunch of orders from here to here to here to here to here, right, down to the trend line, and then have your stop loss somewhere down here below the most recent low. And so, you know, say if you want to have a 10 Bitcoin Cash long, you would go like 1 Bitcoin Cash, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Actually, this adds up to me more than that. What is that? 9, whatever, right? So in total, you would have your entries scaled down. This is called a scaling. Bitfinex calls it a scaling order. But you know, this is just general practice for good market entries. You don't want to just have like one entry because that's a single point of failure, right? Like you want to scale your entry to the degree of confidence that you are or that you have with the trade. So you know, you want to gradually increase it on the pullback, not with just one lump sum, because then you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? So just a little tidbit on how to enter the market with a decreased level of risk. Do you have a price target for BCH? Or how much money do you see BCH going to? Or decide to exit based on TA? Yeah, so I have a price target of Bitcoin Cash if you're just joining. So, oops, 15. So I have a price target for this consolidation period of 1750, somewhere in the upper trend line once it breaks out. That's what I'm anticipating. Is it worth scaling even with $100? So this is a question I get asked all the time because some of the people in the community trade with, you know, different sized account balances, which is fine. Some people trade with like huge stacks of like several $100,000. Some people only trade with a couple $1,000. And even if you're trading with just $100, you should trade with it as if it's a large sum of money. Especially if you're planning on like doing this over a longer period of time, rather than just a singular entry. Like if you're trying to actually like trade this, you should treat every order that you're trading as if it's $100,000 order, right? Like just because it's $100 doesn't mean you should make a bad trade. You should make all your trades with a high degree of certainty. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, and someone else from the Discord added this little point too. So another way that you can scale into your position. So this is it's the opposite way of trading. So you can have a singular entry, and as the price moves up, you add to it on the way up. Typically, on the way up, you want to scale less and less so that you expose yourself to less and less risk, right? So say you have a price target of, what did I say, 1750, something like that, right? You trade the breakout like this. This is a good trading strategy for quote unquote breakout traders. So a breakout trader would, this is how, if you're the mentality of a breakout trader, this is what you would look for. You'd look for a break of the all-time high, right? So check. You'd look for a flood of volume, and you'd have a heavier buy here with a tight stop loss just below it. In the event that the market reverses, you mitigate your risk. So as this goes upward toward your price target, you set buys on the pullbacks, buys on the pullbacks, buys on the pullbacks, but they're less and less. So say you want to have a 20 Bitcoin Bcash total order, you say, for example, you'd buy 10 on the breakout, and then you do 5, then 3, and then 2, so that your total entry is 20, but you're adding less and less as the price goes up, so that you're mitigating your risk. A really common mistake a lot of people make is as the price goes up, they're increasing their risk, which is a very big no-no, because as the price goes up, you should be scaling back your risk so that in the event of a pullback, you're less affected by it. So you're okay with adding to a losing position. You can add to a losing position. So there's a right and wrong way to add to a losing position. Okay, the wrong way to add to a losing position would be what I just said. So say you bought the breakout, right? You go heavy on the breakout, and as it goes back, you add to it. You do not want to do that. However, if you added light on the on the breakout, and you scale into it heavier on the way down, that's a different story. It's two different strategies. Is it worth scaling? Okay, I already talked about that. By the time you use multiple stop losses and such, it seems you'd be worse off with fees. I'd rather get stopped out and suffer the fees than have my account balance go deeper and deeper. Bitcoin Schmitcoin. Sorry, I lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Sorry. Bitcoin Schmitcoin. I've been on a lot of streams and YouTube. You definitely got some skills, bro. No joke. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. That's an awesome point. Thank you so much. I never looked at it like that. Yeah, so risk management is trading. Making trades is the easiest part of trading. The hardest part is adjusting your risk to your trade properly. And most people, that's where most people lose their asses with trades, is they don't know how to scale back risk, and they don't know how to properly increase their risk. And that just comes with experience, but it helps to have people reinforce these points for you. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, I appreciate all the information. Learned a lot. One question: do you have a favorite hockey team? No. I don't really care too much about hockey, but I'm all about combat sports. Hockey's kind of a combat sport, right? Can BCH overtake Bitcoin sometime? Sure. If by sometime you mean like sometime in the future, like at any point, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, it's always been the idea that like the initial iteration of Bitcoin won't be the one that actually succeeds. It's going to be one of the other, one of the other iterations of it. Great info, learning much. Do you like Conor McGregor? Yeah. Yeah, he's a good fighter. He did really well against Floyd Mayweather, even though he was expected to get his just ass beat, but yeah. I mean, no one expected him to win, but yeah, I think he's a really great fighter. Bands rounding? Yeah, so the Bollinger Bands are rounding. We're coming into a nice squeeze on the 3 minute. So we might consolidate right around this line and then break up again. That'd be my guess, because someone asked this question right here. So they see that the Bollinger Bands are rounding right here. So we're going to come in and like pincer the bands here and most likely have another breakout. Good catch. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, which channel in your Discord do you talk about entry points and exit points? Trading 1 or trading 2? So the different trading rooms are agnostic. You can talk about either one. It's just 2 different rooms to have 2 different discussions, that's all. What do you think will happen with, what do you think will, okay, so this is a great question. What do you think will happen when Coinbase gives their customers back their BCH? Price crash? Right now, not all BCH is in circulation due to that. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. That'll get interesting. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. What are those 2 graphs at the bottom of your, so someone asked, what are these 2 graphs? So these are just 2 indicators that help you track the Bollinger Band trend. One's called %B and one's called bandwidth. %B just tells you where the price is relative to the Bollinger Bands, and the bandwidth just tells you how wide the bands are. So you can see here when the bands are narrow, the price, the trend goes down, and as there's a bulge, the bands go up. That's all. It's just a visualization of the Bollinger Bands. What do you set RSI to? I don't really like trading RSI, so I don't. Some people may just hold the BCH. Yeah, I mean, if I were in the shoes of receiving Bitcoin from Coinbase, I would just hold the BCH, especially if it's on a monster run. Why would you sell it? It makes no sense. I'm sure a lot of Bitcoin maximalists will sell it, but you know, whatever. Do you think BCH will retrace below 1K? I think it's totally possible BCH will retrace below 1K, especially if we do a macro 38% retracement. So if we look at the, if we look at the 30 minute, I wouldn't be shocked to see a retracement below 1K at some point. You know, if we retrace 38% or we retrace down to the 50, sure, why not? Especially considering that's where the long-term, you know, the higher time frame 200 EMA is. And that wouldn't shock me. Do I think that's going to happen with this consolidated move? No. Of course, anything can happen. You know, this is crypto. Anything can happen. But you know, this just looks like a typical consolidation pattern leading into another breakout. It seems pretty textbook to me. And you can see here on the 5th, this is looking really good. So if we're looking at the 15 minute, so this is going to give us confidence in the trade here. So if we look at it, before every big move up, we've seen a consolidation of the B bands on the 15-minute as well. So we see 1, we see 2. Let's go ahead and put, this is 1, this is 2. And right now we're seeing a consolidation. So 1, 2, and now we see 3 right there. So this is giving us confidence that we're consolidating. We're likely to see a price move upward, volumes going down, you know, just further increasing our confidence in this trade. Bitcoin Schmitcoin. I just took out 100K on my credit card and poured it into BCH when it was at 1350. Do you think I am screwed? I don't know if you're screwed, but that definitely wasn't a smart move. That's not how you manage your risk. I hope you're kidding. Can you explain the placement of your fib retracements you just used? Yeah. So someone was asking why. I'm assuming you're asking. Let's go 15-minute. I'm assuming you're asking why I placed the fibs from here to here rather than from here to here, something like that. So I placed it from here to here because there are different ways to view the market, but I'm looking at this as the actual top, and anything above that is just blow off until we actually see a continuation of trend. All right, so volume's picking back up. You know, it was a retest of the breakout period. We'll see what happens. We're making moves upward, so. Can you explain when accumulation is going on? The accumulation phase already passed. That happened a couple weeks ago. BS, or Bitcoin Schmitcoin, why did you drop out of the aerospace engineering field? I didn't drop out. I just don't give a shit about engineering, and I'd rather work for myself. You know. Yeah, I've never been one to be very fond of having bosses, and I'd rather work for myself. And if I can make that happen, I'd like to make that happen. So we're seeing something interesting here. It looks like we're starting to shape out what could possibly be a little micro pennant here. I say micro, but it's actually like, what is that? From here to here, a $100 move, which would propel us over the all-time high. So this could get interesting because we're seeing a little trend right here. So this could shape out to be a pennant. We'll keep an eye on this. So that here's a little pull. Here's your pennant. We see consolidating volume. So this little pennant could push us, could be the fuel we need to get out of here. I was an aerospace major too. Got my private license and AP. Sweet. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being an aerospace engineer. It's cool, but it's just not for me, you know. You gotta follow your dreams and all that. How do you identify when accumulation is going on charts, though? So I think you're using the word wrong. Accumulation is not what you're looking for. I think you're looking for consolidation. Accumulation is a very specific phase of the market cycle. And that would be that's a really long discussion. It would take a while to actually explain it on the stream. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, which engineering school did you go to? I'll just tell you this. It was one of the top 5 in the country for aerospace engineering. Top 5 in the United States. I think it's even in the world. I don't know. I gotta look at the recent rankings. Embry-Riddle? No, I didn't go to Embry-Riddle. I mean, even if you guess it, I'm not just going to tell you. Yeah, nice. Okay, so if we look at the 1 minute here, we'll see a nice, oh, this is beautiful. Okay, this is what we want. We want to see lower lows, lower low, I'm sorry, we want to see lower highs, higher lows in a consolidation pattern. This is going to be a nice bull pennant. Are you living solely off trading? Yeah, trading and, you know, of course, hosting the trading community that I have. And you know, I write for Bitcoin Magazine, so I have a couple streams of income. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, you said you live in Canada, but you went to school in the US. Do you consider yourself a trader? Yes. What's a bull pennant? This is a bull pennant. This right here is a bull pennant. This shape right here is called a bull pennant. It's a continuation pattern. It's a bullish continuation pattern. I just put $10 in crypto. Am I going to be rich? Yep. Actually, we'll leave this up here so we can see if we break out of this little pennant here. Something like that, and something like that. Beautiful. What would be the minimum amount of capital required to live off trading if you live sparingly? Depends on how good of a trader you are, man. Yeah, there's no simple answer for that. Depends on how much you can manage your risk. When I quit my job, I had only ever invested, when I quit my job to be a professional trader, and, you know, do it full time, I want to say, well, I'm not going to go into details about that, but you can live off, if you're a good trader and you know how to manage your risk and you know, like, and you know, proper discipline, like you don't need much to have a seed investment to begin trading professionally. It's just, it matters just how good of a trader you are. So right now we're kind of just playing the waiting game, which is half of trading, is you're waiting for your opportunity to strike. So welcome to the trade life. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, did you read books on trading to improve strategy? How did you become so keen at recognizing patterns? In terms of like the pattern recognition, I'm just like, that's part of how my brain works. Like I don't retain information very well if I'm reading it, but I'm a very visual person, so recognizing patterns just comes naturally to me. Like I have a music background, for example, and so patterns in music, engineering is very pattern oriented. Like all these sort of things just jive well with my personality disposition and the way that I process information. You know, I'm just a visual learner. Do you trade based off fundamentals as well? Yeah. You want to pair fundamentals with technicals for sure. How do you get USDT with USD? Where do you buy it? Or do you have to trade into it with another coin? Not quite sure what you're asking. As trading is a lot of waiting, do you recommend having a couple beers while you're at it? Sure, man. Whatever floats your boat. Can you check BCH Bitcoin? Is this head and shoulders at 15 minutes? No, I'm only going to be looking at BCH USD. Sorry. I'm a new trader, learning as I go. I have $200 each in DBG, XVG, and XDN. All have dropped, so I'm stuck in the waiting game, from trading to long hold. Yeah, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be stuck in that situation coming up, because everyone. So here's the gift and the curse of the macro crypto market bull run that went on over the past few months, leading into what we're seeing right now. Is that a lot of people were convinced that they know how to trade the market because everyone's a professional trader in a bull market, right? All you gotta do is throw money at a coin and you'll basically just make money. Assuming you don't just try to short all the time. But now that we're seeing, you know, a market where it's not as easy to make money, I think a lot of people are realizing that's a lot harder than they thought. And so a lot of these crypto hedge fund managers and stuff, and these people that ran quote unquote trading communities that don't actually know how to trade, they're getting eaten alive right now. So you got to be very wary about those kind of people. John McAfee is saying BCH is going to win the war. Oh, did he really say that? I didn't see that. Yeah, this pennant's consolidating really nicely. Oops. Very nicely. This is a textbook consolidation pattern. Right here we see the volume just coming to zero. We'll probably see a retest here, and I would expect a retest of the upper trend line will break out. You have a very manly voice. Well, thanks, man. I'm a man, if that makes sense. Here's a fun story while we're waiting for this to break out. When I was a senior in high school, my creative writing teacher, I was a pretty quiet kid in high school, despite the fact that I'm like a pseudo public figure in the Twitterverse and in the crypto community. But when I was in high school, I went to hand in an assignment, and I don't think I had spoken at all the whole semester. And when I went to hand in my assignment, I was like, "Hey, Miss Teacher, where do you want me to, like, where should I turn this in?" And like mid-sentence, she cut me off and she said, "Bitcoin Schmitcoin. First, let me say that you have a wonderful speaking voice." And we sat there and she said, "Okay, now you may continue." So it's been verified. How much trading experience do you have? 5. I have 5 trading experience. I'm looking to level up after this Bitcoin Cash run. What can you say about using Hike and Ashy? I can't say anything because I don't know how to use those. I'm not, it's not part of my trading strategy, so I don't use it. How old are you? What are these? What are these questions? My favorite color is green. Unless it's a bear market, then it's red. I like long walks on the beach. I can much relate to the Latin American culture more than, you know, traditional American society. Hey, Bitcoin Schmitcoin, what are your thoughts on Plus 500? Any suggestions for other sites? I don't know what Plus 500 is, so can't really comment on that. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, what did you say you thought the top was for BCH run? I don't know what the top is for the BCH run. I just know it just went through an accumulation phase and is looking very bullish. What dog do you have? I have an Australian cattle dog. This thing should be breaking out anytime. Look how this volume just tapered to 0. Textbook consolidation right here. What are you wearing? I think the more fun answer would be, what am I not wearing? If you catch my drift. Khakis? No, no joke, I'm wearing olive green, like army camo, green corduroys right now. They're Levi, what are these? I'm wearing 511s. Khaki, or corduroy 511s. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, why did you say you're Canadian when in fact you are American? I never said I was American, dude. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Drew Hammond says, so you had the door open. You can't be in Canada right now. Where in Mexico are you? I had the door open to the other room in my apartment. I didn't have the door open to the outside. It's very cold here. Eh? See, I'm Canadian. Alexander says, I'm interested about buying into your trading community. Well, great. Wonder if you think it's most suitable for learning to trade or also good for piggybacking and copying successful traders. Well, so I try to foster a community that's good for both, right? So I definitely don't like the idea of people that are just outright copying experienced traders, because I want to provide people with the tools so that, you know, one day, you know, when you're out on your own and you decide that you want to make some trades that, you know, that you're equipped to do so. But there's definitely the opportunity to see what the experienced traders are doing, see how we're viewing the market, and learn in that respect as well. So I would never advise piggybacking on anyone else's trades, because we're all strangers on the internet, right? I'm just some asshole sitting in my apartment wearing corduroy pants right now. But you know, I would rather provide you with a tool set to make these decisions on your own, and so you can make your own judgment calls as well. But in the meantime, I understand that like learning how to trade can be very intimidating. So, you know, that's why the trading community, that's why the trading room is really great in the community, because it lets you just be a fly on the wall in terms of like the discussions that the experienced traders are having. And, you know, I think it fosters both of those sort of aspects. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. Sorry, it was long-winded. Looks like it went for a second test of our pennant right here while I was going on my diatribe. Let's see where it goes. Does the relatively low volume mean anything? Yeah, so like this is a consolidation period in the market where the price is consolidating right about a central point, you know, something right in here, and the volume's consolidating, you know, about this kind of trend, and so that means a breakout is going to happen. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, you seem to have bad fashion sense. Can I be your personal shopper? For bad gold car? No, you may not. And I like my fashion sense. So, there. You should, what does it say? You said that there is an indicator that acts like a support throughout. What is that? You're thinking of Bollinger Bands? It's a way to relatively view the market on a volatility basis rather than absolute price targets. Devil's advocate, not to be meant as contentious, okay? But if you can make a ton of money off trading, then why sell your secrets to your members? Because I'd like for everyone to make money. Why would I not want people to make money? You know, that's why I give out free content. I've been giving out free content for 5 months now. You know, no one's making you join the community, but you know, I do put a lot of work into the way that I trade and the way that I present information, and I think there's a real market for it. So if I can make money off of both, why wouldn't I do that? He means the 3-minute 200 EMA. Oh, you're talking about this? So on the 3-minute, you can see the moving support line. Yeah, this is the exponential moving average. This is a 20-day period. This is a 50-day period. Those are the two. Here are the indicators that I use right here. Your voice reminds me of my abusive father. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. Can't really do anything about the way my goddamn voice works. Everyone learns in the learning community, including Bitcoin Schmitcoin. Granted, he mostly teaches and helps the rest, but in the process, he learns as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm always open to new strategies. Like, so for those of you guys who have been following me for a while, like, I'm always changing up my game. I'm always trying to like get an edge with my trading. So like a lot of times you'll hear me talk about Wyckoff, you'll hear me talk about Bollinger Bands, you'll hear me talk about MACD. You know, I'm just always trying to expand my my tool set. Just joining in. If one were to buy now, what do you see as a price target? Well, on YouTube, you can actually just scrub backward and just rewatch the stream. So that's also an option. How did you start? Oh yeah, look at that. We're breaking out of the pennant right now. Decent volume. Nice. Breaking right out of it. So we should expect to see a $100 move from this. So this should move from here. $100 move upward, which would have us where? It would definitely have us retesting the all-time high. Depending on how the volume is, we could see a breakout. You know, we'll see. How did you start learning TA? Books, videos, what do you recommend for total starters? I mean, as I said earlier, you know, I'm a visual learner, so I learned all my TA partly from reading, if it has a lot of like visual aids, like examples, but mostly from like YouTube videos and lectures. Wolf is saying a head and shoulders on the 15-minute. I'm assuming you mean the Wolf of Poloniacs. I'm gonna have to go ahead and disagree with that one. I mean, it's breaking out just like I was thinking it was going to. Maybe. It'd be a pretty weird head and shoulders, but I don't agree with that one. So let's play devil's advocate here and let's look at this. If this was a head and shoulders, which I don't think it is, because you have two left shoulders, you have a very high right shoulder. The price target of this would be what? From here to here. It's a $180 move, $190 move. It would have us breaking out of this trend. And I don't see that happening. So yeah, I don't agree with that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that doesn't look like a very reliable trend. So it doesn't look reliable for a couple of reasons, right? So it doesn't look reliable because A, the trend is trending upward, right? B, the volume is consolidating. It's consolidating and the Bollinger Bands are squeezed. And it just seems like it's pointing to an upward move on all time scales that I've been trading it between the 1 and 15-minute period, but could be wrong. You know, we'll see. I might be eating my words in 15, 20 minutes. Volume consolidates in head and shoulders too. Yeah, it does consolidate, but you should see an expansion of volume at the peak of the right shoulder as it heads down. Like, so typically what you want to see for a head and shoulder. So say if this is the shoulder, this is the head, this is the shoulder. You want to see the volume profile going down, and then as it peaks, it starts to head back down. You want to see an increase in volume as it approaches the neckline. And that doesn't really look like that's what we're getting right now. To be honest with you, being kind of it's being very lethargic right now. Bitcoin Schmitcoin to use candle patterns like bearish spinning top doji, for example. I only use candle patterns on higher timescales like 12-hour and 1 day and stuff like that. But for the most part, I don't really do that. Yeah, this is behaving interestingly. I'll have to keep an eye on it. So this pennant is like doing a retrace. So it might be making a larger pennant or a triangle like this. So we could be seeing an ascending triangle as well instead of a pennant, because you see here the volume is still consolidating. Typically on a breakout you want to see a spike in volume, but that's not what we're seeing here. So just depends. We'll have to keep watching it. That's why we're streaming it right now. Oh, whoops. I just accidentally muted the stream. Sorry. So what I was saying was, I think it's important to keep in mind always when trading that setups are just setups, right? They're not guaranteed of price action. They're not a guarantee that anything's going to happen. All they say is that like we're trying to increase our odds of success. So, you know, there's always a possibility that the market could reverse. It could go to zero, right? Like it could drop to $2,000. Well, that'd be a negative number, so $200, right? But all we can do as market analysts is view the market and update our view as the market changes, so that we can increase our odds of success, right? So don't be stuck in your view of the way the market is. It's an ever changing, you know, thing, and you should be changing too. Bitcoin. Let's take what does it say? Let's take BCH as an example. A very large portion of volume of BCH is from BitHum. Doesn't it make sense to watch and look for a TA at BitHum chart too, since it's leading the show? Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. But TradingView doesn't support BitHum, so I'm not looking at it. Is it not better to place a buy order in the bottom of the pennant with a tight stop loss instead of waiting for it to break up? Yeah, of course, you can always do that. But, you know, there's just different trade strategies, and that's a more advanced trade strategy than most people are used to. So that's also a good move as well. So seeing a little bit of pickup in buys, but overall it's consolidating downwards still in price. So we might be morphing this little pennant like this. Let's see how it reacts right here. Buys are picking, or sells are picking up. Let's see what it does. Oh, let's get this here. Get that there, something like that. Sometimes things just need a little bit longer to consolidate. Nothing wrong with that. All right, so we got another swing low here. Cool. So we have it. So now we have more information on the market. Let's see if it closes here. Closes green. So we're getting a little rebound off this lower pennant line. Pretty solid as of now. We're still consolidating in volume here. Right over here. What the hell did my pen go? So we see it bounce right here. Volume's consolidating still. This is what we want. So how does this look on the 5? So the 5 minute is starting to squeeze. Okay, looks good. What does the 3 minute look like? B bands are squeezing. 1 minute, just kind of hanging out. Okay, what's the 15 minute look like? 15 minute is still narrowing. Looks pretty good. What does a 30 look like? 30 squeeze too. This could be the move, right? So we see here, let's look at the history real quick. So we got the 30 minute likes to squeeze into the breakouts. So, you know, we're getting a nice squeeze here, just like we were in the past. So we could be seeing a breakout, you know, any minute now. Or we could see a complete breakdown, you know, who knows? Yeah, that's why we got to watch the market and update our view as we go. What are your B bands set at? I have default settings on my Bollinger Bands. Really appreciating the stream. In the past, I've just bought crypto and options like a gunslinger. This is some patience and mastery at work here. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what most people do. They kind of just buy it because they get good tips, but there is a way to optimize your entry and exit of the market. You know. So here's a little pro tip here. You see how I'm like adjusting every time the market moves, I'm adjusting my trend line. You should be doing that too. Every time you draw a trend line, the market moves, you know, make your slight adjustments so that you can get a better representation of the market moves. I'm starting to think this is looking like an ascending triangle, just based off these two tops here, something like that. So sometimes with an ascending triangle, you get some initial like blow off on the top, so you can just kind of disregard it. It seems to be hugging it pretty nicely on the bottom, so that's good. Volume's still consolidating. We're getting some takers over here. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and throw you down here. Ooh, no. Do you think Bitcoin and BCH are working in inverse? I know they're working in an inverse. That's why the Bitcoin BCH ratio is going up. So we saw a little pop down. Let's see if we get some buyback on that. Yeah, buys right back inside. Okay. Some more sells. Let's see what happens here. Oops. Let's see if this 3-minute candle closes or if it's just going to be an outlier. Because right now it doesn't really have much volume on it. That just seemed like market slippage. Yeah, see, people are buying it right back up. You can tell it's market slippage here just because if you look down here, you know, the volume is not very high on this candle. a thin order book at that price because the market's consolidating. But it's got a little bit of follow through, so. Let's see. Volume's still low though. Volume is still low. Maybe we'll get a descending triangle. Price is going down though, so let's see. Aggressive moves on low volume. Sometimes that happens. LOL, Bitcoin Schmitcoin, you're gonna regret making this video soon. I told you to short it on Twitter. Should have listened. Because it went down $15, I think I'll be alright, dude. Thanks for the heads up. So here's the low. Still not very much volume here either. This is interesting. Oh. Why does this keep going away? Where'd it go? So let's draw out some fib lines here. Let's see what we're doing. We might just be retracing some fibs, which is not uncommon. So if we do the bearish fib from here to here, what are we looking at here? So the 1 minute volume is looking pretty flat, you know, steady on the sells. So let's see if we get some buyback in here. We might be testing this lower trend line here as well. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's this trend line right here. Might be going in for a retest. That wouldn't surprise me either. This is when scaling in your position comes into handy, right? Or comes in handy because you don't know if it's going to do this or not. So, you know where the trend line exists, and so you know that you can set your scaled orders going down to there, and then you set your stop just below it. Yeah, that's one of the trade strategies we discussed earlier. Bitcoin Schmitcoin, the volume is quite low compared to 4 to 6 hours ago. Don't you think this is a good indication that the bull is slowing down and coming to an end? No. So like as volume decreases during consolidation periods, you know, that's just what happens. So if we go back and look at these previous consolidation periods before breakouts, you see the volume goes down and then it pops up. Same thing here. It goes down and then it pops up. That's just what happens during consolidation periods. No, it's because Bitcoin formed an inverse head and shoulders while BCH is head and shoulders. All right, let's go look at it. Okay, let's look at making the exact same pattern as BCHUSD. Unless you consider this to be one giant shoulder, I don't really know how you're arguing this as a head and shoulders. If anything, we might be forming an inverse head and shoulders right here. So, still, I don't agree with that. Let's look at the Bitcoin. Oh, let's look at the 5 minute. Oh. Whoa. 15 minute. Not really sure where you see an inverse head and shoulders either. I have no idea what you're referring to. Getting a little bit of buyback here. Not a whole lot of volume on it though. So maybe we'll see a reach down lower. We'll see. I meant Bitcoin USD is making the inverse head and shoulders. That's what I was just looking at. This is Bitcoin USD. See? I don't know where you see an inverse head and shoulders. Unless you're calling this the head of an inverse head and shoulders, which I'm not really sure how you're justifying that, but nice little bounce here, but we're not seeing much volume on this, so it's getting slippage in the other direction. So I'd like to see some follow through on this buyback, which it's not really getting a whole lot of just yet. We'll see. Yeah, price movement on low volume isn't usually a good sign. It's not a bad sign, but it's just not a good supportive sign. So we're getting a little bit of follow through. But again, it's kind of tapering off. So maybe it's making a little bear flag on the 1 minute. We'll see. What are the Bollinger Bands saying? So Bollinger Bands are already rounding out for this move downward. What's the 3 minute doing? So this might be a head, what John Bollinger calls a head fake for Bollinger Bands. Yeah, it's still overall low volume here. So, all right, so let's draw some trend lines here. When in doubt, trend it out, right? So let's adjust this. Let's go to 15, and let's adjust our trend line here. Let's go to 5. Let's adjust our trend line here, and let's see what this looks like on the bottom. So, something like this, maybe. Maybe that's more appropriate instead of this guy. Because overall, the volume is still consolidating throughout this pattern. Maybe something like that. This has more connection points. So, maybe this is it. Maybe this is what we're looking at here. Something like that. The trend line down here. 5 minutes still squeezing. The 1 minute is the volume in general is just not very high. Still just playing the waiting game. Oh, big sell and immediate buyback. Interesting. That might have been a long close. Someone not liking the direction it's going, closing out a long. Sometimes that happens too. This is Bitfinex. This is BCHUSD on Bitfinex. Overall, this is just choppy garbage, isn't it? I mean, it's trending upwards still, which is good, you know, if you're long, but in general, it's still just pretty choppy. Is this how it is in your trading room? I mean, it's like this in that I'm having a freeform discussion with people. It's not just me talking to you. It's like everyone who wants to participate in the discussion can talk. It's not just limited to me. Oh, here we go. That's probably why it dropped, because Bitcoin's about to push out a new low. Or it's just a little bit above it. What is that? So 77 bucks above a new low. Let's see. But now, yeah, so B cash ratio is rising, which is going to push this price up. So maybe this is what we need to see it pop up. I personally think the volume is too low. Back to the basics. Not enough volume to push it to a new high. Well, that's what happens in a consolidation period. The volume decreases and then it leads into a breakout. That's like the definition of consolidation. See, we're getting some buyback here. That's good. Bounce right off this trend line. All right, so that gives us confidence in this trend line here long term. Let's get this volume back up on here. Merge up. Something like that. Yeah, so we're retesting this resistance line. Let's see how it reacts. Because Bitcoin's still pushing down, Bcash ratio is going up. So this looks really good. Not a whole lot of volume on here, but this is still consolidating as well. So we're just above the low. Volume's picking up though, so that's good. How does this look on the 3? On the 3 minute, let's see. How are Bollinger Bands looking? Yes, we had a head fake on the Bollinger Bands. Classic Bollinger Bands. In general though, still consolidating volume, looks pretty good. Do you apply Bollinger strategy for lower volume and cap coins? Yeah, so Bollinger Band strategy is really great because it measures market movement based on volatility and relativity rather than absolute price movement. So it's really great for volatile markets. You ever met John Bollinger? No, I've never met him. I mean, we talk on Twitter sometimes, but I've never actually met him. So interim support is a good interim support is the 50 period EMA on the 5 minute. Not bad. Do you use any Wyckoff Institute indicators? No, I do not. Have you traded only crypto? Yeah, I've only ever traded crypto. I've never traded anything. I mean, I trade Forex every now and then, but you know, that's just when I'm bored. I do it for funsies. The ratio looks like another ascending triangle like this or something like that. Doesn't look too bad. This is the Bcash Bitcoin ratio. Oh, that really shot up there for a second, didn't it? Yeah, overall volume still consolidating on the ratio. You know, we see a couple of high volume buys, but nothing notable. Overall volume still going down. And we're entering into a nice squeeze on the 5 minutes, so might see some action here shortly. Schmitty trading has to be killing your love life because I have a girl and I can't trade like I want to. Sounds like you need a new girl then, man. Sounds like you should break up. Man, we've been streaming for 2.5 hours. This is my longest stream yet. I'm starting to get bored. I thought it would break out faster, but it's not. It's consolidating longer. We'll give it 5 more minutes, and then we'll call it. Indicators use are RSI and BBW. No, I use %B and BBW. And it's just standard settings, 20 close to. Not the modified settings I've been messing around with. This market's putting me to sleep. God. Set some price alarms and go take a nap. So someone from my Discord channel said they're suggesting something like this. You know, also valid. You know, it's a trend line. Wouldn't surprise me if that's how it plays out. Breakout somewhere around here. It wouldn't surprise me. First time I've watched your live stream. Lots of valuable information. Thanks, dude. Well, good. I'm glad I could be of some use. Have you read any of Alexander Elder's books? No. Thank you. Right now I am watching your week recap and the magic that you've done with Bitcoin Cash. How could I be so blind? You know, sometimes it happens. You can't, you know, I don't see everything. Sometimes it just happens. Check your trading to lobby. Someone is indicating a bearish flag. I don't see anyone indicating a bearish flag, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. Were you watching Tone Vase when he said he didn't leave Wall Street to trade Bitcoin? He left it for this? and proceeds to hold up an exercise book. No, I didn't see that, but that's pretty funny. Was he joking or was he being serious? What do you think of the Binance exchange? I don't think anything about it. I don't think about it. Do you feel that if you trade like that on a 5-minute chart for 3 to 4 hours, you'll get a bit bored or just tired and your general view of the market starts to get numb? Yeah, but that's why I set trend lines, and that's why I keep an overall big picture of the market so that I don't get numb to the market, and you always want to adjust your view as the market makes pivotal moves, you know? Oh, what did I just move? All right. I think 2.5 hours is plenty of time. You know, if you're trading this, utilize stop losses. Stop losses are your friend. You know, confirm moves with volume, and you know, don't get too greedy with these moves. There's plenty of meat on the bone for everyone, so you know, don't get too crazy. If you're interested in joining my trading community where you can have discussions like this with me or with other traders, you know, check out bitcoinschmitcoin.com. But in the meantime, I'll just be waiting for this breakout to trade. So you guys have a good weekend, and don't stare at the charts too long, okay?